Hi, I'm Andy. I'm Sophie's dad.
I'm Tim, I'm Emily's dad.
And I'm Mike, I'm Beth's dad.
And together we're three dads walking. Our story started in 2018 when we lost our daughter Sophie to suicide. Completely out of the blue, didn't see it coming. I got involved with this charity Papyrus, Prevention of Young Suicide. And then over the next 2 years later, Mike and Tim lost their daughters, Emily and Beth, right at the start of lockdown. Subsequently, they got together through their surviving children, and through my son, I met Mike. So that brought us together at the start of 2021.
Yeah, that's right.
We decided we wanted to fight back a bit against suicide, raise some suicide prevention awareness, and raise kind of £3,000 each. So we decided we were going to walk from Cumbria to Manchester to Norfolk, about 300 miles. So 3 dads, 3 homes, 300 miles. Let's do it. And we did that in 2021, and we had no idea of the support that we get from across the country and from so many suicide bereaved parents. And it was as we were going on this journey that we learned that suicide was the biggest killer of under 35s, and that around 200 school-aged children take their own lives every year. And no one was talking about it, and we felt quite indignant about that, and we wanted to fight back a little bit. So we wrote to the government.
Well, that kind of, by the time when we got to Shoulden, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we crossed the finish line there, and Alison from the BBC asked us, what's it like to finish? And the answer was, we haven't finished. So that's where we got stuck onto our next campaign, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we felt such an almost an indignant rage, that we're not telling our young people about their greatest danger that is themselves. That the facts are out there. Suicide is the biggest killer of under 35s in the UK. We lose nearly 200 school children every year to suicide. This is an absolute tragedy. Our children are the most precious things in the world. And we believe now, and this is what we've learned through all our walks and the people we've talked to, that we must do a lot more work in schools. We need to get right upstream, So
yeah, we took that message to the government, and we ended up sitting down in front of a minister, Gillian Keegan, at the time, and also some officials from the Department for Education who said suicide can be taught to older school children. Yeah. Well, that didn't sit well with us. Firstly, it's optional. And secondly, older children. We met parents of children who were 11, 12, 13 who'd lost their lives. We've got to give those kids a chance as well. Yeah. So we decided to do a second walk across all 4 nations of the UK.
Well, that kind of arrived quite naturally, didn't it? Because when we were talking to the government, we thought one of the ways to highlight the fact that we were talking to the decision makers was to walk between the 4 Parliament buildings of the UK. And that walk was 2022.
Yeah.
And in parallel with the walk, we ran a petition on the government website to make suicide prevention a compulsory part of the school curriculum. We didn't know what to expect. We hoped to get more than 10,000 signatures, because that would then prompt a written response from the government. In an ideal world, we would like to have got over 100,000 signatures, because that then meant it had to be considered for debate. On the day we finished, it just went over 100,000, didn't it?
Yeah.
And ended up at 160,000 signatures.
Yeah.
And so that petition was debated at the start of last year.
2023.
Yeah. When loads of MPs from all across the House came together, talked about what we'd done, mentioned our girls in that debate.
Yeah.
And without exception, every single MP said, we've looked at what these guys are talking about, and they're right. The biggest risk to our young people are themselves. Suicide is the biggest killer, so we've got to do something about it.
Yeah.
So not talking about suicide can't be the right option. We've got to do something. And so that led us on to more conversations with government, didn't it?
It did. We're talking, we're working with the Department of Education at the moment, and we are very hopeful they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
What we mustn't lose sight within this is obviously we have to look after the teachers, teaching staff, because they are wonderful, wonderful people, and we realise the intense pressure they're under at the moment, not just performance, but dealing with children, behavioural and mental health issues. And we know we're losing teachers where we shouldn't be, first-class individuals. We also know the pressure that the the mental health support service as well, including CAMS, are under. We realise there's so much work being done out there that is absolutely brilliant, but we do know we need to pull all this together.
So we ended up meeting the Prime Minister in number 10 and talking to him about his girls and what more the government can do, sitting with Gillian Keegan, the Secretary of State, sitting then on a load of round tables. We're not experts, but we introduced the experts to government, and these experts included teaching staff, included charities that deliver suicide prevention, academics that have done research into suicide prevention, and all of them were saying we need to put suicide prevention on the school curriculum. Here's the evidence why we can do it safely. Teachers are saying they need more support in doing it, they need the time, and not necessarily the teachers delivering it. My eldest daughter is a teacher, a science teacher in a high school. You need support. The teachers need support.
Absolutely,
in
100%.
On our first walk, she was in her first 4 months of teaching. One of her 14-year-olds took his own life. As a teacher, the only skill set she got to deal with that was the suicide of a sister 16 months earlier. That is not right. Teachers should be given the support, and if there's been a suicide, or even ahead, if a child comes to them with those suicidal thoughts, about where they signpost people. And so the government, they've all sat round, they're looking at the how the conversation when we sat with all the experts very quickly moved from should we put it onto the school curriculum to how do we safely put it onto the school curriculum. And that's what we're waiting on at the moment, a public consultation from the government. But we strongly believe that we can't have, we've heard some horror stories of children, 12-year-olds, who one of their fellow pupils is attempting to take their life. And those 12-year-olds, their friends won't talk to the teachers about it. They're trying to risk manage that themselves. The youngsters are too scared because we're not, as adults, talking about suicide and suicide prevention. We've got to open up those conversations.
So basically, we believe we need to work on prevention, getting right upstream rather than intervention. There's always time for intervention, certainly postvention, but prevention is the key to this, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There's no point, it's getting a balance in schools, isn't it, between academic qualifications in the end, but we need the life skills. There's no point in academic qualifications if you haven't got the life skills to keep yourself safe, to make yourself resilient. So
Here we go. So
that's it.
So we're going to keep talking. We're going to do a bit more walking as well, aren't we?
That's it. And we know all of you out there in sort of the education arena, if you like, are doing absolutely wonderful work, and we'd just like to say we're right with you and behind you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much for listening. And if you want to come and join us on the next walk,
yes,
we're walking from Stirling in April down to Norwich in May.
All details on our website, 3dadswalking.uk.
And we've got a tracker as well, so you can track us down.
You can find us
if we're not lost.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.